Think about it. It's 2 in the morning. The house is quiet, and instead of sleeping, you're lying there doing math in your head. Not real math. Anxious math. How much is in the 401k? How much you'll need? And that number that makes your stomach drop a little. So, you grab your phone. Index funds, dividend stocks, some fellow in a polo shirt yelling about gold. Everyone swearing their strategy is the only one that matters. 40 browser tabs later, you're drowning in noise. And somehow, even more tired. Here's the truth. Nobody says out loud. That's most people. That is the default state of planning for retirement in 2026. Too much information, not enough clarity, and a quiet fear that you're doing it wrong, or worse, doing nothing at all. I'm Earl, and I've spent 30 years watching how people actually behave around money. Why some folks retire calm and comfortable, while others who earned just as much retire anxious and short. Because here's the thing. It's almost never about the size of that number. It's about the strategy you actually stick with. I didn't pull these out of a textbook. These are real playbooks from people who lived through 2008 and 2020. The exact methods used to turn messy, chaotic savings into predictable monthly cash. And we're not talking about the flashiest ideas. We're talking about the 5 that actually turn savings into income you can't outlive. Because here's the part nobody prepared you for. Saving for retirement and living off it are 2 completely different games. For 30 years, you fill the bucket. Then one day, you have to flip it and start pouring it back out, carefully, for the rest of your life. That flip breaks more retirements than any market crash ever has. If you're ready to get this part right, hit subscribe. We do real math here. These 5 strategies are about that second half. Turning a pile of savings into a paycheck that shows up for life. Stay with me through all 5, because the last one is the least known and quietly one of the most powerful. And by the end, you'll know exactly which one fits your life. Let's get into it. Strategy 1. The bond ladder. It sounds technical. It's actually one of the simplest, safest paychecks you can build. Here's the idea, stripped all the way down. Instead of one big pile of bonds, you buy several, each maturing in a different year. One matures next year, one the year after, one the year after that, and so on, like rungs on a ladder. Every year, a rung comes due and hands you a chunk of cash, right on schedule. Meet Frank, 64, just retired, wants steady income without watching the stock market every morning. Frank builds a 10-year treasury ladder. Every single year, one bond matures and pays him predictably like clockwork. No guessing, no selling at a bad time. The income is baked in the day he builds it. And here's why this matters more in 2026 than it has in years. For the first time in a long time, bonds actually pay a real return, around 4 to 5%, enough to compete with inflation. A treasury ladder gives Frank the one thing every retiree craves, a paycheck he can count on, backed by the safest debt on earth. The trade-off? It's not exciting. There's no big growth story. It's just steady, boring, reliable cash. But in retirement, boring and reliable is exactly what lets you sleep at night. The action step here is simple. If you want predictable near-term income, ladder it. Treasuries, CDs, or high-grade bonds, each maturing a year apart, covering your essential expenses. You're not trying to beat the market. You're trying to never be forced to sell at the wrong moment. The ladder does that. And as each rung matures, you make a choice. Spend it, or roll it into a new long rung at whatever rates are then. That's the quiet beauty of it. Every year, you get a decision point. You're never fully locked in. For a retiree who values control and predictability over excitement, the bond ladder is hard to beat. It won't make you rich. It was never supposed to. It's built to make you steady. And steady, when you're living off your savings, is its own kind of wealth. But a ladder takes management. You or your spouse have to keep reinvesting, tracking maturity dates, running it. That's fine in your 60s. It can get harder in your 80s. Keep that in mind. Which brings us to a strategy that hands that job to someone else with a guarantee attached. If the bond ladder is the do-it-yourself paycheck, strategy 2 is the set-it-and-forget-it one. Strategy 2, the annuity ladder. And before you tune out at the word annuity, hear me out. A lot of annuities deserve their bad reputation. High fees, confusing fine print. But one quiet corner of this world is different. It's called a MYGA, a multi-year guaranteed annuity. Think of it as a CD's stronger cousin. You hand an insurance company a lump sum, they guarantee your principal and a fixed rate for a set number of years. Simple. Here's the part that surprises people. In early 2026, top MYGAs pay noticeably more than comparable CDs. We're talking a gap of 1.5% to 2% or more on 5-year terms. On real money, that adds up. Meet Carol, 66. She's got a chunk of cash she wants safe, but she's tired of CDs paying next to nothing. Instead of locking it all in one place, Carol ladders it. Some in a 3-year MYGA, some in 5, some in 7. Every few years, one matures. She can take the cash or roll it into a new one at the going rate. Just like the bond ladder. But here's the edge. Her principal is guaranteed. The growth is tax-deferred, and she didn't need a finance degree to set it up. And because each rung comes from a different highly rated insurer, she's spreading her risk too. Not all eggs, not one basket. This is the strategy for the retiree who wants safety and a guarantee, without the homework a bond ladder demands. When the market drops 20%, Carol's MYGAs don't move. That's the whole point. The trade-off is access. Your money is committed for the term, and pulling out early means surrender charges. So you never ladder money you might need tomorrow. You ladder money you want growing safely for later. The action step. If guaranteed, predictable growth matters more to you than upside, get quotes on a MYGA ladder. Compare the rates to CDs. Check the insurer's financial strength rating. Stagger the terms so something's always coming due. For a lot of retirees, this is the sweet spot between a savings account that pays nothing and a market that keeps them up at night. It's not glamorous. It's a guaranteed rate and a good night's sleep. In retirement, that's worth a great deal. Now, strategies 1 and 2 are about safety and predictability. The next one is about something different. Income that can grow. Because here's a problem a fixed paycheck doesn't solve. Your costs rise every year, but a fixed rate stays flat. Over a 30-year retirement, that gap can quietly eat your buying power alive. So you want at least part of your income coming from something that tends to rise over time. That's where strategy 3 comes in, and it's a favorite for a reason. Strategy 3. Dividend income. The idea is beautifully simple. You live off what your investments pay you, and leave the rest alone. Certain companies and funds pay you a slice of their profits, regularly, just for owning them. That's a dividend. The goal here is to build a portfolio that pays you enough in dividends that you rarely have to sell the shares themselves. Meet Walter, 68. He owns a basket of dividend-paying funds and stocks built up over decades. Every quarter, those holdings pay him cash. He spends the dividends, and the shares stay invested, still working. Here's the magic most people miss. Well-chosen dividends tend to rise over time, year after year. So, unlike a fixed bond payment, Walter's income has a built-in raise baked in, helping him keep pace with rising prices. And because he's living off the dividends, not the principal, his nest egg stays intact, even growing for his family later. That's the dream. An income stream you don't have to dismantle your savings to get. But let's be honest about the trade-offs, because every strategy has them. Dividends aren't guaranteed. In a hard year, companies can cut them, and dividend stocks still rise and fall with the market. So this isn't your safety bucket. This is your growth and income engine meant to run for the long haul. The action step. Look at total dividend-focused funds and ETFs, not just single stocks chasing the highest yield. A sky-high yield is often a warning sign, not a gift. Steady, growing dividends beat flashy, fragile ones every time. Think of dividend income as the part of your plan that fights inflation while the ladders keep you safe. Most strong retirement plans aren't one strategy. They're a blend, and dividends are often the growth piece of that blend. You let the safe strategies cover your essentials and let dividends help your income grow with the years. Used well, it's the closest thing to a raise you'll ever give yourself in retirement. So far, every strategy has answered one question: how do I get income now? But there's a different fear that haunts retirees, and almost nobody builds a plan for it. The fear of living too long, of reaching 90 and finding the money ran out at 85. Strategy 4 is built for exactly that fear, and it's the least known tool on this entire list. Strategy 4, the longevity annuity. The official name is a QLAC, and most retirees have never heard of it. Here's the idea. You take a slice of your retirement account, not all of it, just a slice, and you buy future income. Not income that starts now. Income that switches on later, usually at age 80 or 85. Meet George, 65. His biggest fear isn't this year's budget. It's running dry at 88 with years still to live. So George uses a portion of his account to buy a longevity annuity that starts paying him a guaranteed check at 85. Now, his later years have a floor under them. No matter what happens to the rest, that check shows up. It's like buying a private pension for your oldest, most vulnerable years, the ones people forget to plan for. And here's a bonus most people don't know. That money set aside in a QLAC lowers your required withdrawals in your earlier retirement years, so it can quietly trim your tax bill in your 60s and 70s while guaranteeing income in your 80s. It does two jobs at once: protects your old age and eases your taxes now. The trade-off is real, though. That money is committed. You're trading access today for security decades from now. So you only use a slice, never your whole nest egg. It's a safety net, not the whole plan. The action step: if outliving your money is your real fear, ask a professional about a QLAC. There are limits on how much you can put in, and the details matter. So this is one to get right with help. But the peace of mind it buys, knowing 85-year-old you has a guaranteed check, is hard to put a price on. Most retirees plan carefully for their 60s and 70s and quietly hope the rest works out. A longevity annuity is how you stop hoping and start guaranteeing. It's the strategy you set up once, in your 60s, and thank yourself for every year after 80. Now, there's one more strategy, and it's not about where your money is invested. It's about something almost everyone overlooks. It can change how much of your savings is actually yours to keep. Stay with me for this last one. Strategy 5, the Roth conversion. And this one might be the most overlooked move on the entire list. Here's the quiet problem. Most people save everything in pre-tax accounts. A traditional 401k, a traditional IRA. It feels great while you're working, but every single dollar you pull out in retirement gets taxed as income. Meet Ron, 50s, great saver, maxed his 401k every year. He built a beautiful number on the screen. Then he realized a big chunk of it was never really his. It belonged to future tax brackets he'd never thought about. A Roth conversion is the fix. You move money from a pre-tax account into a Roth, pay the tax on it now, and from then on, it grows completely tax-free. Every future withdrawal, tax-free. for the rest of your life. Here's the key insight most people miss. Pre-tax dollars and Roth dollars are not the same dollar. Even when they show the same number on the screen, one of them still owes taxes. The other doesn't. The smart move is timing. In your lower income years, early retirement, before Social Security, and required withdrawals start, you convert chunks of your traditional balance into Roth, paying tax at a lower rate than you'd pay later. Done right. Over several years, Ron moves a large pre-tax balance into tax-free territory, a slice at a time. And he controls the tax bill instead of letting future tax rates control it for him. The action step here comes with a warning. This is the one strategy you should not do alone. The math is personal, the rules are strict, and a mistake is costly. Please talk to a real tax professional for this one. But the principle is simple and worth remembering. Don't just ask how much you're saving. Ask what kind of money it is. Tax diversification is just as important as investment diversification. Almost nobody talks about it that way. Get this right, and you keep more of the money you spent a lifetime building. That's the whole game. So there they are. 5 ways to turn a pile of savings into income you can actually live on. The bond ladder, for predictable, safe income you build yourself. The annuity ladder, for a guaranteed rate without the homework. Dividend income, for a paycheck that grows with the years. The longevity annuity, for the years you're most afraid of outliving. And the Roth conversion, for keeping more of what's already yours. Here's what I want you to hear. You don't need all 5. Almost nobody does. The best plans usually blend 2 or 3. Safety from the ladders, growth from dividends, protection from the rest. The right mix depends on your fears, your timeline, and what lets you sleep at night. So tell me in the comments, which of these 5 fits your life right now? I read them, and the best questions become future videos. If this brought you even a little clarity in a noisy world, you know what to do. Hit that like button and subscribe, because I break down real retirement strategy like this every single week. No hype, no fear, just what works. Don't just stare at the pile of money on your screen. Build a strategy that actually pays you. I'll see you in the next one.